to, okay, continue recording. Okay, there we go. Okay, I just got the recording thing. All right, so as long as we're talking to Officer Michelle Wilson, let's continue and get an update from her.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. If you don't know me or haven't seen me, I'm Officer Michelle Wilson. I'm a patrol officer at Beaverton Police. I have been with West Slope NAC, I think about 3-4 years now.
At least.
So I am here to answer questions. I don't have a whole lot of information for you at this time. I want to just do a quick reminder with the weather getting rainier and darker and wetter and potentially slicker. We are having a lot of traffic crashes. So just be really diligent when you're out driving. And remember, people seem like they're all kind of in a frenzy to get places and impatient. Just, remember that we all care about each other. We want to keep each other safe and drive in a manner that's, as calm and cool as possible with this time of year, especially with I feel like the change and the 1 hour change with the time, and it's darker in the evenings when people are traveling around. So that's all I have. I don't have, I'm happy to answer whatever questions you guys have. I don't have any other specific real updates unless there's something you'd like to know about specifically. Any questions from anyone?
Been pretty quiet up here.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Michelle.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
Well, I'm glad it's quiet. That's a good thing, right? But yeah, if anybody you guys are always welcome anytime to send me an email. My email is M as in Mary or Michelle, and Wilson, WILSON at beavertonoregon.gov. I know Joe and I have had correspondence about some suspicious vehicles and things. If you send me information, I will get back to you as soon as I'm on shift. So please feel free to email me with questions, concerns, anything like that. I am happy to assist however I can or answer questions. Anybody have anything specific police related I can inform you about?
I'm very interested in the prominence and police response for catalytic converter theft.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, we are getting a lot of those. We as patrol are taking the initial reports, but I think with the amount that is going on, obviously our detective division's working on that. So sorry, you kind of skipped out the first part of your question. What was the specific first part of the question?
Well, I mean, what are the police doing about it? I mean, I understand that in Portland, they don't even respond anymore, but I was just wondering if Beaverton, if you are one of these poor people that have a catalytic converter theft, will you respond and take a report at least? Are you keeping records on this?
Oh yes, we will take a full police report on any of these things. So unlike Portland, we are still responding to all calls, a duck walking in the road, even those type of things. In Portland, we're still responding to all those calls, in Beaverton, unlike Portland. Sorry, we're on a detail. My partner just got out to talk to a guy, so I'm checking on him. We are still responding to all those calls. So if it gets stolen, obviously we respond based on, emergency calls versus cold thefts and stuff, but we are documenting, writing a report, and then all those get sent to our detective division. And they start looking into, some of these groups that are doing this type of theft and getting intel for that and everything. So, yeah, we're responding to everything still. There's been no change for us in our police response or anything like that because of, we're not in a position where we're so short staffed, we can't take any of those calls. So our response is the same for everything. And if you have, if you see suspicious people in your neighborhoods or things that are off, a good way to catch these guys is just somebody who's home that sees them creeping around cars acting weird. Nothing is ever too small for us to look into. So, even if it's, wow, I just got this plate, it's good for us to know because maybe somebody else, on another area saw this plate and we can match it up. If you have Ring doorbell cameras, stuff like that, you can always keep track of and send to us. Things like that is really, that's helpful for us to be able to actually, figure out who some of these people are, maybe identify some vehicles and things.
It was kind of an informal thing, but pretty much everybody on our little street now is just keeping their lights on all the,
Yeah.
at night. So it's just much more brightly lit.
That's really good. And just being
Yeah.
good neighbors and being observant and being good neighbors. And if you're out of town, like especially during the holidays, I tell everybody find a neighbor buddy. And I know I have a neighbor across the street from me and I'll tell her, hey, I'm out of town. Can you grab my packages? Can you text me if something is, aloof in my neighborhood and, some strange things going on, please let me know. And if you can find your own neighbor buddy to, leave a key and all these things so that your property is protected, especially if you're gone. Also, while speaking of that, you can always call our police records division and we do vacation checks. So if you're going to be gone for say a week for Thanksgiving or Christmas, you can let us know and they'll send a patrol officer out there to do a walk around your house and to keep an eye on it. It's good for us to know when people are going to be gone for like a week or so that, if you're the district car in that neighborhood, you can kind of keep your eyes out for that. But I would highly recommend finding another neighbor to kind of be buddies with so you can keep an eye on things.
Mhm.
All right. Anything else from me?
Yeah,
There's
I
one
have a
more.
question.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, Herr Todd.
All right, I'm ready.
You're muted.
I already do everything that you're saying and know my neighbors and keep an eye out. Are there any neighborhoods that they've been hitting mostly that are in Beaverton?
It's all over. I mean, it's just all over the thefts that we're getting come in. So that's why I just say be vigilant, report any suspicious behavior. People are like, well, I don't know if it's important, and you never know what's going to be. We are happy to make a phone call, run a license plate, you know what I mean, document it. And that way, if, somebody sees a car and somebody's, oh, I saw this guy with brown hair in a backpack, he's creeping around cars and he's associated with this plate, we can do digging in our data systems. And you never know what, is going to be the information that leads us to, finding these folks.
And my next question was just, do we just call the Washington County Dispatch non-emergency line to get a hold of police records to ask for one of these vacation checks?
Oh, the vacation check, you can either call through non-emergency or you can call the police records, which is 503-526-2261. And I think you can route it through records and they can they can make a note on our sergeant's board and they'll tell us in briefing. Or you can always call non-emergency and they can create a call too.
So I would just go to the Beaverton website, which I don't go to usually, but I can. Then look
They
for
might
records,
even
and they'll
have,
have it on there.
yep, they might even have a link to the vacation checks. If not, just call records, get on there and see the phone number for records and ask them how they want you to route that information. Especially this time of year in the summer, we take a lot of those vacation checks. All right, Carl, anything else for me?
No, we look forward to seeing you. Actually, we might go ahead and meet on the 16th of December, just to let everybody know. Because it's more than a week. I was going to try to skip out of it because it's so close to Christmas, but unfortunately it's far enough away. We're going to have a regular meeting.
All right, well, keep me posted.
All right, will do.
All right, you guys take care. Have a great night.
Thank you for coming.
Night, Michelle.
Bye. Bye, Joe.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye. Have a good night.
All right, so Troy's here from THPR&D. Let's go move on.
Thanks, Carl. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Troy Schader with Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District. I have a few updates for you tonight that I'd like to share. First off, THPRD, we're hiring. So if you are looking or you know someone that is looking for employment, we have full-time and part-time jobs available. We're trying to build back our staff to support the community. So please get on the website, check those out. we are hosting a senior giving campaign. The Tualatin Hills Park Foundation is hosting a senior giving campaign, and that community members are being asked to make a donation for a monthly pass to help seniors enjoy the Stir Center. If this is something that you're interested in doing, please visit the foundation's website at www.thpf.org. Our maintenance department, we've been really busy out there getting ready for winter. There's been a lot of activity trying to winterize all the irrigation systems, doing storm prep. Obviously, we had that flooding here last week that took a lot of our resources to manage a bunch of tree work and getting drains cleared. And there's a lot of impacts to the park from that large rain event on last Friday. I think we had 3 inches. So a lot of you probably noticed a lot of flooding around town during that. We recently put in a dog park at Schiffer Park, and that's probably about a year ago now. We recently just added a small dog park section to that. Based on some feedback from patrons, that was something people really wanted to see, was an area to kind of separate the large dogs from the small dogs. So that was just finished, and that's been a popular addition to that park. We've got a lot of winter break camps coming up, so check the website for those. We're starting to have more offerings there available. So the website would be a good place to look to for if you have kids or no kids that are looking to get into some winter camps. The district's looking at doing a new sport court out at Mountain View Champions Park. We're currently in the planning phase of that. In fact, there's a virtual community meeting that happened tonight. It was at 6 o'clock tonight, but getting public input on what that court's going to look like. If you don't know, we recently developed a large park and sports complex out there next to Mountain View Middle School. And it's probably about 3-4 years ago now. And there's still a remainder of that property left undeveloped that is going to soon be developed into an additional sport court. So trying to decide what should go in there, what type of sport should be built out. And so that's what the community input's all about on that one. Winter registration, that'll start Saturday, December 4th for all in-district patrons. So get on there, check that out. If you want to get registered for classes or clinics or camps or anything like that, that's December 4th is when that registration opens. And then lastly, the budget committee. We're currently accepting applications for the district's budget committee. So in order to check that out, please apply online at www.thprd.org. And those are all the updates I have. Anyone have any questions for me?
Yeah, well, with the budget request, would that include the properties that you already own and that we've been talking about developing, specifically the nursery property over here, who I talked with Melanie Moon. She's got the coolest name.
She's a nice lady. Yeah, so that was actually the budget committee, Carl, not a budget request.
Okay.
Yeah, so, those are open positions to the public that you apply for. So.
Well, no, I meant if we're going to get any money for that property.
Say that again, you broke up on me.
Okay. Because I also talked to, what's her boss's name? Janine?
Yeah, Janine.
Yeah. And so they said they got some money now, but they don't know when they're going to get rolling and when they might. I know they've already contacted 3 of the property owners in order to get easement, so that we can get vehicles in there and how they're going to handle that. So it means they're rolling. They've got the money to get rolling, but who do we talk to about coming back and talking to us, in the months ahead?
Carl, I got the answer to that one. Can you hear me? Carl?
Yeah, we got you.
All right. Yeah, I talked to Leanna Harden, and she's the one in charge of the community engagement. So she's going to come to our meeting on the 16th.
Perfect.
So I've got everything I need to know from her. She doesn't know much about the park itself, but she knows exactly what's going to happen as far as promoting it. And then the person that's going to be the project manager is a woman named Nicole Paulson. And I've got to call into her. She hasn't called me back yet. So she's going to be the one that's going to be working, you know, literally running the whole show. So she and Liana are coming.
Talked to her 2 years ago.
Oh, you talked to Nicole? I mean,
Yes, Nicole Paulson.
is that right? I have never talked to her. I just left her a message. But Leanna Harden is real nice, and she's really open to coming to the meeting, but they're both planning on being on the December 16th meeting.
Okay,
And I still don't know about the easement.
great to hear. I'm gonna write it down on my calendar now. So
I was going to call you and tell you yesterday, but I didn't want to bother you. But I've been bugged.
Hey, Kent,
Yeah,
be quiet.
there you go. There you go. All right. So they're both going to be at it. They got a whole bunch of stuff to tell us.
I didn't plan on that at all.
Well, I just found out yesterday, and
All
I
right,
didn't-
this is our wonderful neighborhood volunteer group.
yes.
Okay, so these
Nicole.
R&D people are gonna be at our next meeting.
Yeah, the two big shots. The big
All right.
project manager herself and then the community
And
engagement
you
lady.
schedule that.
I scheduled it.
All right, so you're gonna handle that meeting? Because I might be going out of town.
Oh, you mightn't you? Well, if I have to, I will. But the point is, they sound like they talked to Miles. They had already made the commitment. They talked to Miles at City Hall.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything.
Hey, can we be honest right now? Miles is impossible to get a hold of, and so is Lanny Parr and everybody from the community neighborhood. They don't answer their calls. They're all working from home. They're impossible to get a hold of and impossible to schedule with. It's lucky that we have a meeting tonight. Sorry, Elena. It's just the truth.
Yeah, but
I've been trying to get a hold of Miles for 3 weeks.
Carl, these ladies, or this lady, Liana, she seemed to already plan on being at the meeting, so she knew about it. I didn't schedule anything. I wouldn't do that.
I
without
didn't
talking
talk
to
to her. No one's talked to me.
Well, I was the squeaky wheel. And I got hurt.
Okay,
Hey,
This-
no,
this-
I'm gonna go down to his house and kick his ass again.
I think this should be an offline discussion. I think we're good.
Hey, it's a real discussion. We're way ahead of time, so we got plenty of time for everybody else.
All right.
We've already had 2 good speakers, but now Kent's got all this new information he decides to dump without talking to anybody else.
I was going to call you yesterday, but last time you got a little upset when I called you too many times. Okay, well, either way. So that's it. I didn't make the schedule. I was going to check with you, but they seem to already have it planned. So
Well, it sounds like a wonderful topic for a December agenda. I'll just
yes,
say.
it is. And the money's there. All the money is there.
That's the part we already figured out.
Every bit.
But
Does anyone have any more questions for me?
no,
Sounds like you got the meeting lined out for next month, Carl. That's good.
Yeah. And Troy, you'll know everybody since 2 of them are
I
going
know
to.
them all. I work with them. Yep. I'm glad that they're coming and they'll give you guys some information that I'm not able to provide. So that's
Yeah.
good.
interesting. Okay. Well, sounds like they're actually being honest about moving forward,
Yeah.
which is good. Thanks, Troy.
All right. You guys have a
Nice
good
job
night.
as always.
Take care.
See you later.
All right. Oh, where's Kristen? from the,
She's down there in the bottom. She's here.
Hi, Carl, I'm here.
hey, there you are. All right. you're
Hi.
up.
All right, great. Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm Kristen Thorpe. I'm the West Slope Library Director. When I first came to this group, it was actually almost exactly 2 years ago. I had just started my position there as director, and today's my 2-year anniversary with the library, so I remember it well. But when I arrived at the last meeting, I had said, I'm so brand new, I don't know what I can share that would be helpful. And so got my feet wet a little bit with about 3 months, and then COVID hit and closed the library. And then we recently remodeled the library, and now the library is back open, and now we're doing post-COVID services with the library. So a lot has happened in the last 2 years. But I just wanted to let y'all know that we are back open. We're open 6 days a week now. We will be open 7 days a week soon-ish. Still hard to tell when that's going to be. We're almost up to our full hours. We have express browsing, we have computer access, we are doing virtual programming. We recently launched a new service where we'll send personalized reading or movie recommendations to a person's email once they tell us what titles they're interested in or things that they've liked in the past, which has been very popular. And we're also working on settling into the new remodeled space. We've been busy ordering new books, and those have been coming in, and we've been processing them. So there's been quite a bit of activity that's happened since we've last visited together. And so I'm just curious if there's any questions for me about anything with the library. I'd be happy to take some time and answer those now.
Kristen, when are you going to be able to start receiving book donations?
Oh, I'm very excited. Thank you so much, Joe, for asking. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to start that maybe next month. So I'm working with the volunteers who handle the book sale and trying to work out a schedule. And then once we start receiving book donations, then I'm hoping that we'll be able to launch the book sale in January of 2022. So if you're subscribed to our newsletter, I will have an announcement in there on that. But that's, as of right now, that's my goal, is to start having book donations be received in December and then relaunching our book sale in January. So thank you, Joe.
Cool. Do you ever put those into the general circulation?
Sometimes we do, yeah. I think it depends on the book, and if it's already in our catalog, if it's something that meets our collection needs, if the item's in good condition, we have often added things directly to our collection. So it just depends on the title and all of that stuff. So
That's great. I have a big pile that's about to fall over. So
oh, good.
rather donate it to you all where somebody might actually read them rather than just have them shredded.
You mean like the one right behind your head?
Yeah. That's
And
hard.
when
Those are the ones I haven't read. So
yeah, you got to read them before you donate them.
yeah.
Any books that we are unable to add to the collection for one reason or the other, or any books that don't sell in the book sale, we have a partner called Better World Books that we send the money to, and they sell them online on our behalf, and the library gets a proceed of that money. So even if we aren't able to use them in the collection, or they're not selling in our book sale, we do have another mechanism that helps generate funds to then turn around and support the library. So all the donations matter. So
Cool. That's good to know.
yeah, thanks. Great question.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah, please, Kent.
Yeah, so when are you gonna have your hours beyond 5 o'clock?
We have 1 day a week right now where we have our hours beyond 5 o'clock, and it's Tuesday. So Tuesday we're open 1 to 7. And then we are currently working to build up capacity. With COVID, I've had my team split into 2 different unique teams.
Yeah.
And the reason why we did that is somebody got exposed to COVID, I would only have to quarantine half of the team. And that way we wouldn't have to disrupt library services. And so I'm ending that in December finally. So this means that I'll have my full library team together, and then we can start increasing hours. So the hours increases are coming, but it was a precaution with COVID not to completely shut down the library, which has happened across the state in other places. So the hours expansion will be coming soon, but right now, Tuesdays till 7 is our late day. And then we also have Saturday hours available, which we just expanded. And then we also are offering Sunday hours, and that's going to be a permanent change. We started doing that when we were doing limited pickup services, but that was so popular that we're going to keep the Sunday hours as a permanent change to our schedule. So we'll be open 7 days a week eventually.
Maybe December.
I don't think it's going to be December because I'm just now ending the cohorting of the teams. And so once we do that, then we can start increasing our hours again. But I'm hoping that soon we'll be able to do that.
All right, don't tease me now.
I appreciate the question, Kent. Thank you.
My sense when I'm dropping, turning books in and picking them up, it seems really quiet there. Do you have any feel for people in the library pre-remodel versus now?
I think it's a lot different experience pre-remodel versus now. Part of that is before COVID, folks were able to stay and hang out long term. People weren't in a rush to get in and out. I think COVID has changed a lot of behavior practices where people aren't staying to linger anymore. I think people are really in this grab and go mentality. But I will say that I was on the desk this afternoon about 2 o'clock, and we had so many people in the building, I had to call for backup because I wasn't able to help them all at the same time, which is amazing. And I'm so grateful. But then we have times where it is really slow and it is quiet. So I think it just depends on the time of day. But I think when we're able to open up completely and we're able to, limit or lift the restrictions of how long people are allowed to stay in the building, when physical distancing isn't an issue for us anymore, I think usage will pick up. But I also think that a lot of people have fundamentally changed how they use our library, which was not something I think we could have anticipated or expected pre-COVID. But I would say we're still checking out almost the same amount of material. We're still processing almost the same amount of holds. So we're still pretty active and one of the busiest libraries in the system despite our tiny size.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we just did some statistics, and based on the last fiscal year of reporting, which is actually fiscal year 1920, based on our size, we are the busiest library in the system, and we are I think the 4th highest circulating library in the system, which means our materials check out the 4th highest in the whole county. So we are small but mighty, as I like to say.
Good.
Yeah.
So someone old enough to remember going through physical card catalogs and hoping to find something, especially if I had to do a research paper on it. I just want to express my appreciation for the online system of finding books and holding and doing the whole thing. It is just absolutely amazing. I guess the one thing that seems, because I'm trying to exercise more self-control and not have 20 books piled up that clearly I'm not going to read before the renewal date. But often I'll take something in that I just haven't gotten to and have put it on hold, and probably the very same book I go and pick up a day later. So I don't know if there's some way to make that more efficient or what.
I think I understand what you're asking. I think what you're asking is you'll return something, but you'll place it on hold and then it immediately goes back on hold for you.
Yes.
So there is a way to meter that a little bit. If you go onto your account online, you can actually suspend, or you can call us, we're happy to do it too, but you can actually suspend the hold until a certain date. So you can do like that when you're going on vacation, or if you have too many things that have come in at once, we can pause when those titles will be filled. You won't lose your place in line, but then you can set the time of when it wants to be activated. So recently we had a patron who was going to be out of town for a month for work. And so they paused all of their holds on their account to not be filled until after they return. And so that's something that you'd be able to do yourself, or give us a call and we'd be able to help you with that. The other thing too is I wanted to come back to the staff picks for you service that we started. So there's a really simple online form that's available on our website, and you could go on there and say, I like reading, I'm just gonna, throw out some stuff, but I like reading historical fiction and political commentary books, and I really like, DVDs that are comedies to make me laugh. And you can tell us things you really like, things you don't like, and we will send you a personalized recommendation of items that then you could place on hold, and you can still do that metering. So even with the browsing that you can do on the online catalog, this is a way to also just get those personalized recommendations from us to help make that browsing experience a little better, because then you're guaranteed, well, nothing's guaranteed, but we really try to give you things that you'll enjoy to check out. So, and then Kent, do you have a new hand up?
I got a new hand.
Great.
As far as like videos, how can we get videos that you don't have? I mean, like, could I get, I got like 600 videos from you over the pandemic, and you don't have certain, can we recommend and you can seek out these videos?
So we do have a suggest a purchase form on our website. And so you can fill that out, or you can give us a call and we can fill that out for you.
Really?
For anybody that doesn't have computer access. The trouble with some of that is I'm the person that buys all of our media, and I know that there's some things that are out of print. So we try to buy as many patron requests that we get, but if something's not available to us from our vendors, it's hard to do that. And so we do our very best to purchase everything that patrons are seeking, but sometimes it's out of our control a little bit with just the vendors and what's available. When we can't purchase something and we don't have it in the WCCLS system, meaning it can come from any of our 13 libraries, we will use a service called Interlibrary Loan. And that is a request that's free to use, that we will connect with libraries all across the country, and they will potentially send materials to our patrons to check out and borrow. And so it's a pretty remarkable service, and it really expands what's available for folks. And so if there's certain things that you're not able to get through our library cooperative, we can definitely seek out that interlibrary loan service and see if there's some things we can get for you.
I have to talk to you to do that though, right?
You can do it online yourself. You would go to the WCCLS.org website, and under the services tab at the top page, there's a drop down for interlibrary loan, and you could fill out the form yourself and do that requesting.
Oh, okay.
So next time you're in, you can also ask somebody to show you on the website where that is. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, great questions.
So
What else do you have for me?
Kristen had the Beaverton Reads thing, which evidently was just the main library and the auxiliary library for Beaverton. So I picked up a copy. I really didn't know what to expect, if there would be a line out the door or something. And as it turned out, there was two nice ladies with a table full of books, and that was it. I just walked in and came out. But do you know how successful that was and how many books they may have given out?
I actually do not know. So the Beaverton and Murray Shoals branch is actually is a different system than West Slope Library branch.
Uh-huh.
And so we are connected through the co-op, and we share like a couple policies, and we borrow books from each other, but we aren't connected. And so I actually am not sure how that program went. It's typically very successful, and it's something that I'm really proud of my Beaverton colleagues for doing, but I actually don't know this year because I haven't had a chance to check in and see how well it went. But I heard the book was good.
I can share a little
Yeah, please.
anecdote. I went Monday to pick it up, and there were no more copies.
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
So they distributed them all in a couple of days.
I love that. I'm so glad
Terry,
that
Terry, you want to let me know when I finish reading mine?
Sure. I mean, I put a hold on one, but I don't know when I'm going to get it.
great. Anything else, folks?
Yeah, can I donate all my old VHSs?
I would prefer you not to, but thank you for offering. The problem is we don't have a lot of place for storage of those things, and we don't have much of a second selling for that, and our Better World Book Services won't take media. So
All right, well, on the subject of books.
there you go.
This is a really cool local publisher. They're called the Nib. They're from downtown Portland. I highly recommend them. It's hard to get a good picture here, sorry.
Awesome.
Anyway, those guys are great. That's what do you call it? Graphic novel.
Yeah, and the Westland Library does have a collection of graphic novels. We do have those, and we do take suggestion purchases for that collection as well.
Excellent. Anybody else got a question?
I think the space looks really nice, and I actually need to go wander around and see what all you have there. I did offer to do a photography show at some point if you want to dress up your walls there. So.
Oh yes, I do have your card sitting on my desk.
Done that in the past, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I would love for us to get to a place where we can do some art displays on our wall and have some rotating community art. So that's definitely something I'm wanting to work on. As soon as we can not be in emergency mode from COVID, I can start thinking about other things for a while. So I've definitely kept your card, Joe.
You're quite happy that you just gotten clocks, so.
I tease my staff all the time because everybody's like, we need clocks, and I was like, time is a construct. And then we got clocks, and now I'm always like, what time is it? What time is it? And so they tease me that I know less, or I know the time more frequently before we had clocks than I did now we have clocks. So well, I really enjoyed coming here and speaking with you all. I really appreciate it. Your questions were so wonderful, and so I really appreciate the opportunity to chat, and look forward to seeing you at the space. And I look forward to coming back and sharing more updates with you when we have some more to share. So thanks so much.
Thank you,
Kristen.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Well, moving on. Is Clay around?
I'm here.
Hey, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, well, thank you for giving me a few minutes to talk about what's going on with TriMet. Lots of things as usual, and happy to answer any questions that you've got, even if they aren't about the topics that I'll present to you this evening. Wanted to hit some of the highlights of things that we're working on right now and offer you an opportunity to comment on that, whether it's here or online as well. Carl, is it okay if I share my screen?
I'm cool.
Okay.
Uh-oh, it's another picture of Kent. All right, there we go.
Okay. All right. The page you're looking at here is the trimet.org/plan. And that's the page that we use when we're in a proposal mode for service changes that will take place in the coming 2 years. So what we're working on right now would take place in either 2022 or 2023. And so just to kind of preface what we're talking about here, there is usually when we do an annual service change, we do this every fall in 2 phases of outreach in the fall and the second phase in the winter. And usually we have like 4 or 5, maybe 6 proposals for route changes, improvements, things like that. Sometimes when we were really in a good revenue mode after the 2017 House bill passed, we were expanding service and putting out new routes, and we expanded a couple of bus lines to 24-hour service, line 57 and 20. So at that same time, we were hiring a lot of operators. And so what we're looking at here in terms of these changes would normally be 5 or 6 proposals, and it actually started out that way. Got whittled down to just 2. The main reason for that is that we're having a challenge, as always, hiring operators. And of course, staffing is an issue for lots of folks these days. So we are being very careful. What we're proposing to make sure that we don't overpromise on being able to fill the seats of the trips that we have out there. So the first change that we had proposed is something that some of you may have heard about. This is related to the Division Transit Project. Division Transit Project is a high capacity service that run between the downtown Gresham and actually our last station on the Blue Line in Gresham at the Cleveland Avenue station. And it would follow Division all the way through into downtown Portland. And I'll open up this map and show you a little bit better and you can see what it looks like. I'll try and get this thing out of the way so I can see it a little bit better.
So basically, it's just going to parallel Division all the way across town.
Yeah, so this is the part where you get to Ladd's Addition. So this is inner southeast, right around Southeast 20th. And so you can see Ladd's Addition here, and this is Division running along here. And so this dark blue line, the dashed blue line right here is is the route that the line 2 takes currently. And line 2 Division just uses 7th Avenue and then crosses the Hawthorne Bridge and then uses the mall after that to go all the way down to Union Station. But what will happen with this FX Division and high capacity transit is that line 2, which will become FX Division, will still use Division until it gets to right about here, which is right around 8th Avenue, and then it will cross the tracks and then use the Telecom Crossing instead. And the benefits behind that would be to serve PSU much better. Currently would have to, anybody who's a student there would have to transfer here or walk up to the campus. But this gives us the ability to serve it much more directly. And MAX is heavily used by students, especially PSU students. And so this is something we want to do to augment our MAX service by basically providing the same type of service that MAX really does. And what's happening here is that with this improvement, the bus line currently uses 40-foot buses, but it will expand to use 60-foot articulated buses. You may have seen some of them out on the field, in the field being tested. One of them is green, and so it looks very much like a bus that we would actually use, because green is going to be kind of its overall color scheme. But you also see one out there that's blue, painted our TriMet's blue and kind of orange scheme that we have right now. And some of them are electric, and one of them is one that used to be electric has been converted or diesel has been converted to electric. And so you'll see some of them out there, but we haven't used articulated buses in this market for a long time. If any of you remember some of the ones we had years ago, by the time I got rid of them, they weren't in very good condition. But these are much better and have actually a better turning radius than our our 40-foot buses. But something else about this particular improvement is that we, as I mentioned, would operate very similar to a MAX, where we would have fewer stops. And so we have a stop reduction along Division, along the entire route out to Gresham, where it's actually serving fewer stops. So it can move more quickly, making fewer stops. High capacity allows us to carry more passengers. And we're also going to have a signal priority so that we'll be able to get through intersections faster, taking off about 20% of the time that would normally take line 2 to get into downtown from Gresham. So it's a big improvement, and the first time that we have offered this kind of service in this market. It is potentially something that we can roll out to other locations as well, depending on how successful it is here on Division. And we really want to be able to maximize every one of our trips, and using articulated buses with more capacity, and also the articulated buses allow you to load and unload from both doors. So it's not just loading from the front, exit from the back. You can do both at each end. And so the platforms are bigger, so they can serve a 60-foot bus. And so they really just, it operates very similar to a MAX train, just doing it with a bus instead. And so when this happens, as I mentioned, the buses that would normally go up 7th Avenue here on Southeast 7th will be going across Tilcomb Crossing. And so the proposal is to take line 10, which cuts diagonally through Ladd's Addition today, and then move it over here to 7th Avenue so that it would operate on 7th Avenue and do the same thing going into downtown, turning on Broadway and coming back. So there'll be a change in service in these locations here because line 2 used to serve these, line 10 used to serve those, and it would basically move over to here, and these stops inside in Ladd's Addition would close. And so this is something that we've actually been looking at for quite a while, getting a lot of feedback from cyclists and so forth, the people who use this as a greenway to cut through here. It's very popular. We've heard from neighbors and cyclists who've gone through there that are, you know, they deal with the buses and they're okay with it, but they've always preferred that it was just a greenway so that cyclists could really use it and feel less intimidated by buses. So this is actually an opportunity for us to kind of see if that works well. We have had some requests for replacement service so that we could get some other bus line to go through there. Unlikely that we would be able to do that, but it is something that's on our radar because we do have the line 70 that cuts down through here. It would be very difficult, I think, to reroute it. It would have to kind of take a different route over here if we did. But that's some of the outreach feedback that we've received so far. We've had a couple of open houses in October, and then more additional ones through neighborhood, or not neighborhood associations, but through Apano and also Slavic families reaching out to the languages that are spoken along this route, which is primarily, other than English, it's usually Slavic or Vietnamese. And then in between out to Gresham is also a lot of Spanish speakers. So we had quite a bit of stuff done in Spanish on this one as well. Got a lot of feedback in multiple languages this time around as well, which we're really trying to expand that to try and get as much feedback as possible. And we got some really, really great feedback, which we wouldn't ordinarily get. So very pleased with the outreach, the information that we received so far. And so this one, as I mentioned, is something that is proposed for September of 2022. That one has to be kind of hard scheduled because there's so many changes that come along with putting this new route service out here on Division. So as I mentioned, you'll see some of the buses, articulated buses that we have out there. There's actually just like the one that's in testing right now. And then you'll see more. We have about 3 more, I think, that are arriving fairly soon. So you'll be able to see more of them out on the road and the street in testing mode. They aren't picking up any passengers or doing anything like that, but just out there testing. Is there any questions I can answer about this particular proposal?
Got anything on our side of the river?
No, I don't, not much. But I can take a little, I'll run real quickly through the other one and get on to something else that does impact you folks if you use MAX to go to the airport. This is one that we're working out in Troutdale. It's simply closing some of the stations going down to Glen Auto Park because we have a lot of congestion down here. So lots of things happening down here in terms of activity that's increased. And so we're just simply proposing to do a turn here in downtown Troutdale instead of going all the way down to the park. And they have already proposed an alternate route that would actually have us turn using this section over here. So this one's like far removed from you folks, but just thought I'd put it out there for you just so you know it's being proposed in case any of you ever go to Glen Auto Park and use the bus to get there. I will move on to another one here down below. This Better Red project is one that could potentially impact any of you if you use the red line to get to the airport. What we're doing with this project is basically expanding its ability to serve our customers and serve the airport. And what it would do is expand the reach of the red line, which currently goes only to the Beaverton Transit Center. We want to expand the service to go all the way to the Fairplex at Hillsborough. will then serve all these stations, which are 10 new stations, including this one, with this expansion. And at the same time, we also want to get rid of the single track sections that cause us to have some delays in trains going to the airport between Gateway Transit Center and the PDX. And so that would allow us to do that as well and improve the station alignment at Gateway so that when you're coming from the airport, you won't have to go through that little hairpin turn that you use getting to and from. And all the incoming and outgoing trains have to use that. So again, another reason why it's a single track section that we can reduce by expanding the station northward. And so that all trains coming from the airport to downtown can make a simple turn going into Gateway and then on to downtown. Only the ones coming from the downtown to the airport would still use that little hairpin turn that's used currently. But no trains would be using it at the same time or trying to get through at the same time. So it's basically an efficiency move that has, I think really is going to improve our ability to serve the airport. And basically we're going from airport to airport with this alignment. So all the folks out here would have a better ability to be able to get to PDX and the other way around too. So, and also of course, there's lots of events and venues there at the Hillsborough Airport. And so that also gives us the ability to serve them a lot better at that location. So this project, starting in 2022, will have 4 different disruptions to max service, usually not more than about a week, or usually it's just a weekend. But they're usually happening in between airport and Gateway, and we would shuttle bus those trips to and from the airport during that time. There is one that's taking place out here, and that's actually about 14 days around about October of next year. And that's when they probably do bus shuttles between Hillsborough and the location here. They simply need to change some of the switching here to allow for the additional red line trains to come in. What questions can I answer about this one?
About how long will that take? I mean, I've taken it from Sunset to the airport and it's just under an hour.
Oh, yes.
This would be about an hour and a half, wouldn't it?
About an hour and a half, yes. The distance or time between Fairplex and just between Beaverton Transit Center is about 15 minutes. And so basically 15 minutes into Beaverton and then on from there. So yeah, it would be about an hour and a half, maybe less, but of course, you're going through downtown. We have closed a couple of stations in downtown so that we can get trains through there faster, but that does slow things down a bit. And also on that note, I will let you know that we are looking at long range projections for underground to put the light rail system underground through downtown. Long ways away, many years away, and lots of money to pull together for that, but it's going to be a necessity. Downtown is just so crowded with activity. We've got lots of narrow streets and our trains just can't get through there fast enough. So an underground portion would at least allow us to provide express service to go around some of those stations downtown.
So my understanding is you'll be adding another track from Gateway to the airport. Is that correct?
In certain sections. Currently, there's some double track sections and only a few single track, but in the single track sections, we'll be adding an additional trackway in both directions.
I guess I was always curious as why if I was coming back from there, if I was on the red line, and most of I park at the Milliken because that's the closest place that for a park and ride for us. And it was always curious to me why I'd have to get off the train at that point.
I'm sorry, you were asking about why you'd have to get off the train.
Yeah, I never understood what was the issue on the red line where you had to get off at the Beaverton Transit Center and not just be able to continue on.
Yeah, that is something that when we were first building it, we really wanted to take it a little bit further. We'd love to take it all the way to downtown Hillsborough there at Hatfield, which is something that we would probably do in the future, because it really, it's only 4 more stations. So it would probably happen a few years after that. But there's also just the operational money that it takes to actually make something like that happen. So it's not just the money to expand and do the construction piece, but also maintaining it afterwards. And as I was mentioning, more trips, longer trips sometimes mean more operators when we're covering a longer distance. So we're having difficulty with operators. So we're being very careful about what we're promising here. But this improvement wouldn't actually open until 2024. So we've got it's quite a ways away. And so hopefully our ability to get operators will have improved dramatically by then. Any other questions about this project?
Yeah, can we get some parking up at Washington Park?
Do what?
Get some parking up at Washington Park Zoo. That's
You,
our closest stop.
you
And
need to
as
speak with
some other
Heather.
People just mentioned they have to drive backwards in order to get downtown.
Mhm.
Is that something that TriMet can help us with?
No, you would need to speak with Heather McCary. She's the executive director of Explore Washington Park. I can resend that email I sent to you that has her contact information if you like.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know if you would know or anything, but at some point they were talking about building a parking structure at the zoo location there. And I've actually heard nothing about that for the last couple of years. Is that a dead project or what's happening with that?
I don't know. I don't know. There was originally, back when we were in design on the Blue Line project, to include some form of park and ride at the zoo, but it never made it to the final design. And so I think probably because a park and ride in that close is something that doesn't really serve what we're trying to do in terms of taking vehicles off the road. We try to have people board sooner so that we can get vehicles off the road as it gets more congested into downtown. But property is also just a piece of this as well. When I was talking to Heather about the possibility of doing something up there where the old children's museum used to be,
Right.
she was mentioning that that particular structure, the land underneath it, isn't really solid enough to hold something very heavy or heavier than what's on there right now. So they're developing that area based on what's there already. They may just have to reuse the building itself rather than building anything new. But Heather McCary can actually answer that question for you. She manages that whole area up there. So if there's something that she can do for you, she'd be the one to answer it.
Yeah, Todd has a question.
Of course he does.
Yeah, so so when will the changes in the switches and whatever other changes you're making to the platforms there from Beaverton Transit Center to the Fairplex be finished, since there's already 2 tracks there and you just have to modify some things?
Correct. The only work, as I mentioned, there in October of next year, we need to make a modification to the switching system there at the Hillsborough Airport. It's one of the places where you can actually turn trains back, and we have a center track section where we can do that. So we're going to be using that a lot with the red line trains going out there instead of going all the way to downtown Hillsborough. And that would be, they would start modifying and changing the signage on the MAX platforms and anything else that provides direction for customers. Probably about 30 days before this goes into place. So you'll start to see that happening in August of next year.
So any wild possibility of ever having a station at the west end of the tunnel, which would enable us to actually walk to take the MAX. Otherwise, we have to drive.
No, there's no plans for that this time.
I like that idea.
Well, it makes sense because, Carl, like you said, we drive to Milliken Station and, in 20 minutes, we're back to where our houses are. It's just, it's kind of ludicrous. We're in a transit desert up here.
They could install it at the where the subway was. Now it's gone. It's empty up there next to the Chevron station at the top of the hill. It'd be awesome. Just,
Oh, well, they'd have to have a
unfortunately, it has to go down.
elevator to go down.
It has to go down 300 feet or so, right? Yeah. Anyway. Okay, any other, okay, Clay, what do you got next?
The only other thing is about the.
I think sorry, I think Todd has another question.
Not getting my stuff not getting all my controls to work. So as far as I know I'm just registering a complaint here with this TriMet employee, Mr. Thompson. I know when Westside, when the MAX was put in originally, they chopped up the bus lines that served us before, the basically the Canyon Road bus line, and now that's chopped up into 2 lines. But all the neighbors here talking about not being able to access the train to downtown. Well, I realize that you've heard many suggestions before, but this will just help me feel better that I've registered my idea with you, is that if the 58 was reconnected with the 57, but it ended at the zoo station, the zoo TriMet, the zoo train station, then all of us here on West Slope, and I've used the buses before there ever was a west side light rail. I was using the bus on Canyon Road. We'd be able to access the train system just with the bus being put back together. That's now in 2 pieces in 57 and 58, instead of putting it back to just 1 line and ending at the zoo, instead of the 2 pieces that it's chopped up into now. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you actually for that feedback. One thing I'd like you to encourage you to do is on this page, as you see that I'm showing you here, there's a leave feedback green button right down here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pass on your comments on this to our service planning and planning office, because they are, every time they do this an annual basis, they look at these things as they are coordinated. One of the things I mentioned earlier, that this has been whittled down to 2 proposals. Some of the other proposals they were talking about were up there, usually connected to the line 51. But there is a possibility that they may actually make a modification to the 57 as a result of that. So what I would like you to do is encourage you to leave feedback there on that web page, and then I'm going to go also pass it on to them and let them know what your comment was, because they have been talking about the 57. So it might be a good time to say something.
Thanks. I'll have to go on there and leave my my suggestion. The whole thing about this is it's not difficult, and it's not requiring a bunch of planning and modification changes. And TriMet would want us all to use the train. Well, if the 58, 57 connects to the train at the zoo, that solves that whole problem of bus lines going where the train line can serve us.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you.
Yeah, as it exists now, if we want to use TriMet to go to the zoo, we have to go downtown on the bus and then catch the MAX to come back, which again doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I appreciate your feedback.
Yeah, well, I testified up there. We had a meeting about 8 years ago, and I testified in person. So hopefully more feedback will help more this time.
We'll see. Any other questions about the Better Red project before I move on to Division Transit, if we want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh,
All right. So the Division Transit project, just to kind of wrap that up, is something that, as I mentioned, we are planning on for the opening in 2022. And this is the information where you can find just this on trimet.org/plan. You can see kind of a summary of the information, but it also links to their page, just like the Better Red has its own page, so does Division Transit. And so you can take a look in here and see all the different pieces of it. You can kind of see what the new buses are going to look like. And there's also a fact sheet that you can click on here that shows all kinds of information about it. So those are the highlights that I had. There's other things going on as well, which you may have seen in the news about some of our getting some old diesel buses converted to electric. There's all kinds of stuff on our webpage about, if you just go to trimet.org, you can find a lot of information about everything else that we're doing, including hiring, of course. These are the new FX buses there on Division FX. That's the page we were just looking at here. And also some information about taking the train to the plane around the holidays as well. That's it that I have. What questions can I answer? Anything else that's come up or something that you'd like to know about?
I think on Nextdoor, the folks that rely on public transportation, especially handicapped and physically challenged folks, talk about how horribly unreliable Uber and whatever the other commercial services are for getting to medical appointments and so on, and how long they have to wait and how expensive they are. Um, is TriMet taking a close look on that, on how they can support that? I know you all have the half buses, which to me seem to be a very inefficient way to transport what usually looks like a very small number of people. Are you looking at using more like minivans or something? That's something that could be expanded for those folks that aren't able to drive and need transport to their medical appointments and other kinds of things?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. That's something that we have just recently been spending a lot of time on. First of all, next year, there's going to be a comprehensive service analysis done. Where we're using a external contractor to help us with getting all that put together. One of our service planners, Grant O'Connell, will be heading that up within TriMet, and we'll be doing it next year in an attempt to try and find out how things have changed, how commute patterns have changed due to COVID and telecommuting and a bunch of other things. And what we're trying to determine is, where do these dollars need to go? Where do we need to invest? Where do these routes need to go? Because a lot of them may need more service at areas where people have to show up for work as opposed to telecommuting. So things may shift quite a bit in terms of what people are using. Of course, during the height of COVID last year, we actually reduced our service on some lines because we had buses running empty all the time.
Right.
And so this comprehensive service analysis will help us get a better idea of how things are looking in terms of the business world, commuting, traveling, vacation, recreational, all kinds of things, and how they're going to use our system. And of course, the challenging part of that is that we're still in that transitional kind of flux period where we don't know exactly what the future looks like in terms of commuting to and from work or just commuting in general. But we need to do this to give us an idea of how things have changed. So that analysis is going to include things like what you were just talking about, and what's the best way for us to use our service to get people where they need to go, including office visits, medical visits, and so forth. As a matter of fact, there was an article that was just linked. Let me take a look at my page here. One of our PIO folks sent an article out and sent it out on WebEx regarding this very thing. And it was an article written about Minneapolis and service that they had, a study that they had done there. And this one, here it is. It's on Vox. And so I'll go ahead and send this to you afterwards. But basically what the article was about changes that Minneapolis had made in putting in a new MAX line that replaced a bus line that was there before. And apparently as a result of that, and they were able to trace this directly to this change, that the on-time performance of people actually getting to their appointments improved dramatically at the facilities that they had there. Also reduced the number of cancellations because people were able to get there on time, and a couple of other things as well. So I'll send this article out with a wrap up to Carl so you can see this. It's a really interesting article that basically talks about how transit can be improved to get people to medical appointments, specifically what you were talking about. And something else that we did when we did a service analysis just on buses several years ago, we established what was called community connector areas. And these were in areas where the density and housing density just isn't enough for us to run regular fixed route service through there. And so in some cases, we recommended maybe using one of these smaller buses that we have, because sometimes they have narrower streets or roundabouts that our bigger buses can't get around. One specifically I'm thinking about is the East Columbia neighborhood, far in like Northeast Portland, up to near Marine Drive. And they have a terrible time. They have a lot of folks who really use transit a lot and really need the service, but they're just not dense enough to actually get the fixed route through there. So we established them and some others as what we call community connector areas, where we may be able to get into a partnership with an organization like Lyft or Uber for on-call or just as needed service for folks who need a trip when they need it, but they don't necessarily, we can't necessarily provide fixed route service because they just wouldn't be enough people to fill the seats. And so that's something that we have been looking at. We did have some conversations with both Lyft and Uber, but we weren't really able to come to an agreement on exactly how it would work or who would pay for it. But it is something that we have been discussing for quite a while, but that's something that's going to come about in this comprehensive service analysis we're going to do next year, because those types of services and how we get people that last mile is going to be really important, because last time we did this service analysis, we didn't have ride sharing at the capacity that we have it now. We didn't have Lyft and Uber. We didn't have scooters and all the different options that have come out since then, and bike sharing. And so all of that needs to be reevaluated in this world in which we are changing how we get where we're going. So it's going to be a very interesting result that we will publish and let people know. I think probably later in 2022, maybe around the fall of 2022, we'll be releasing that information and how it may change service in the future.
You know, something that this occurred to me is that there's a bus stop on Canyon, which is basically just east of 87th. And going up that section of Canyon between Canyon Lane West and Canyon Lane East, there's very, very little access to Canyon Road along there. And, you know, it seems to me that if you move the stop to the west end of 87th and then ran the bus up Canyon Lane and then exited back onto Canyon, you'd put it right through where the people actually live in our area. And wouldn't have to walk all the way down to the bottom of the hill or walk all. I had some surgery and my wife had an appointment and she had to abandon me. So I come home, there's pouring rain. I'm in Northwest Portland. So I take the trolley to the Max. I take the Max to wherever I catch the bus. And then I walk the last half mile in the pouring rain back to my house. So, you know, that was my, I guess I could have called Uber or something, but I just kind of inherently hate doing that. But if there was a bus that just ran on Canyon Lane, you know, I would have had a half a block walk. So, yeah, if you're reevaluating those traffic patterns, I think that would just really be a cool thing to do for this neighborhood.
When we're doing this analysis, we'll be reaching out to all the neighborhood associations throughout the city of Portland and also in all of our adjoining districts, whether it's city of Gresham and Hillsborough and so forth. So you'll be getting more information about this, and it'll be a perfect opportunity to comment on that and kind of give us your idea of exactly where the service really should be going, because you're the ones who use it. If you want to use it more, this is a great time to do it. So we'll be getting that information to Carl as soon as we have a link to the information where you can comment online.
I like Joe's idea a lot.
What other questions can I answer for you?
The last one is, are you gonna, you're using some money from the state in order to get all these improvements going, or did you get a nice fat stimulus check from the feds too?
No, this is just standard operating procedure. We're making changes now. There's nothing special that needs to be done for these changes, the FY23 changes. The red line is a different situation. There is a separate funding source for that one that we got through federal funds. That was one of the reasons why we decided to, instead of just extending it to Hillsborough, take the opportunity for some additional funds to improve the station and also get rid of the single track sections. So most of that, some of the money that came for the red line actually is a federal grant.
Cool. So that means you're going to be on budget, hopefully.
Oh yeah, definitely on budget. It's something we've been planning on wanting to do for a long time. So the federal grant just gave us a way to do it better and more effectively.
Any other questions for Mr. Clay Thompson? All righty. Well, thank you, Clay.
You bet. And I'm sharing my screen here.
Presentation as always.
Right. Well, again, the comment period for the FY23 stuff at trimet.org/plan is coming this Sunday. So definitely get on there and send us your comments. It doesn't necessarily have to be about what the proposals are about. It can be about anything.
All right.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks, folks.
All righty. It's only 8:15, but anybody have any new business? Crickets. Anybody have any old business?
So was Elena going to give a Beaverton, City of Beaverton report?
Oh, yeah, well, we're gonna, yeah, that's right. I forgot. We even haven't got BCCI yet either. Okay. All right. What's up with the City of Beaverton, Elena?
So there's a couple things for November news. The first thing is free leaf drop-off events. So fall is in full swing and the city is here to help with leaf disposal needs. The city's Public Works Department is hosting weekly leaf drop-off events now through December 4th. The events help facilitate proper debris disposal and collect food donations for area food pantries. There's a link that I'll be sending after the announcements for drop-off locations, details, dates, and times. And leaves that are dumped, blown, or left on the streets near the curb can cause localized flooding when catch basins become clogged. And then the next thing is One Book, One Beaverton 2022. What if all of Beaverton read the same book? Beaverton City Library is pleased to announce that The Cold Millions by Jess Walter, author of the New York Times bestseller Beautiful Ruins, is the selection for our 4th annual One Book, One Beaverton community-wide reading program. Walter's captivating historical novel set in the Pacific Northwest is an eye-opening portrayal of our nation's class divisions, brought to life by a vibrant cast of characters, both real and invented. We will be handing out free copies of the book starting Saturday, November 13th. But that's over, I think. And then during the month of January, we invite you to attend a series of related special events. The program will accumulate in an evening with author Jess Walter on Saturday, February 5th. The Beaverton Winter Shelter is also opening. The Beaverton Winter Shelter will be open for the winter season to provide a warm, safe space for adults experiencing homelessness to stay. The shelter is a collaboration between the city, Just Compassion of East Washington County, and Washington County Supportive Housing Services. This season, the shelter will provide space for 30 adults on a 24/7 basis with access to resources, showers, hot meals, and a safe space to sleep. The shelter will be open at the Beaverton Community Center, which is 12350 Southwest 5th Street, from Monday, November 15th through Tuesday, March 15th, with the possibility of being extended due to weather, and will be following COVID-19 precautions for guests and staff. And if you're looking for a way to support the Beaverton Winter Shelter this year, drop off needed supplies at the community center on Wednesday, December 1st from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. And the top needs include razors, earplugs, blankets, hand warmers, shampoo/conditioner in small bottles, socks, underwear, sweatpants, waterproof gloves, frozen/non-perishable foods. So that includes frozen burritos, boxes of chips, granola bars, ground coffee, hot chocolate, and etc. Open Air Beaverton, and that's the first street dining commons that has been extended through winter with a new layout for weather. Make sure to check it out when you're headed downtown for food and drinks. And the grant program is being assessed for the Open Air Beaverton program to help with costs associated with a new permit program that begins in November. And this new permanent permit program allows business use in expanded areas, as well as for structures and tents in some places. And the city wants restaurants, recreation, and other professional businesses to operate in a healthy and safe manner while providing services during the pandemic. And then lastly but not least, welcome Councillor Ashley Hartmeyer Prigg, who joined the City Council in October. And here's a message from Ashley to community members. And this is in quotes. I'm honored to serve my hometown through this role on the City Council. Getting to serve our community as a member of the THPRD board, I developed an interest and passion for affordable housing. I look forward to creating policy that will help further our housing goals and ensure people in Beaverton have shelter. By the year 2030, our world may look very different than it does today, and it already looks quite different than it did in 2010. I hope to push us to take bold action as a city when it comes to climate change. I can't wait to hear from you and encourage you to contact me over email or phone, end quote. And you can learn more about the City Council and upcoming meetings at beavertonoregon.gov/citycouncil. And I can send all of the links now. But if you guys have any other questions that you want me to pass on to Miles or anything, I can do that as well.
So Elena, I know that these sessions are, the NAC meetings are being recorded. Is it possible, is there someone on the website that you can go and access those?
The recordings of the meetings,
Yes.
they are usually posted, I think, a couple weeks after each meeting on the Beaverton like YouTube. I can find the link to that right now.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to make the December meeting, so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no worries.
But I would like to watch the Walton Hill folks be grilled.
I think that's the link that should have all of the videos that they post, and they post NAC meetings as well.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-oh. Oh, what happened?
Is the link not working? Oh,
We lost Carl. There he is. Carl, we can't hear you. Unmute.
Hello?
Now we hear you.
All right. And I know you're ecstatic about that. Elena, what's the situation with City Hall? Do you think it's going to be opening up by spring or so? Does anybody have any guesses?
I think they are slowly changing a little bit. So they're opening up the lobby, I believe, in a like for a longer period of time, I think, or at all. But I'm currently not in Beaverton, so I can't really be there in person to really see.
So you're working away from your office also, like everybody else.
Yeah, I'm actually a full-time college student, so I'm back in my university.
Oh man, there I went again. What happened? Ah. Shoot.
So Elena, where are you?
I don't know, man.
I'm in Ithaca, New York. I attend Cornell University.
You're in Ithaca.
It's late there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
it is.
11:30ish.
This whole Zoom thing is so bizarre. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. This is-
Okay. So thank you, Elena. That was great. Super cool.
course.
Thank you for all other guests. Anybody like, okay, once again, any new items that we want to bring up for the December meeting? Looking at my schedule, I have,
Sorry. It also looks like there was a question in the chat about the increasing number of homeless camps. I think that a part of the opening up the winter shelter would be to address that, but I can definitely bring that up to the rest of the team as well to see if anyone can speak on behalf of that in one of the meetings. Yeah, definitely. COVID also creates restrictions for the kind of capacity that a lot of these things can have, but yeah, I'll definitely see if we can get someone to be able to talk about that.
I think if anyone is feeling bad about the number of homeless camps in Beaverton, which are really, really very small, I suggest taking a cruise through the Pearl District if you really want to see what happens when there's lots of homeless camps. I think we're very fortunate out here where we are.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
so Elena, do you have any clout down there at City Hall? Can you get us?
Sorry?
Can you get us the mayor for our January meeting? Because she was supposed to show up last month, but she had some problems and, which were very understandable.
Right.
But yeah, just give her a little nudge next time and say, hey,
Give Lacey a call. Yeah, give her a call tomorrow. It's too late tonight.
Yeah, I'll definitely bring it up to the team.
West Slope wants to see you, Madam Mayor. Okay. Any other questions for Elena? Okay. BCCI report from always the lovely and talented Terry Lawler.
Well, actually, we have not had a BCCI meeting since our last NAC meeting. We are going to be meeting this coming Monday. And actually, they're going to be talking about shelter services, as Elena mentioned, the winter shelter. And I think there's going to be an update about the safe parking program. So if anybody wants to tune in the BCCI meeting and get those updates, you're welcome to do it, or you can wait until December and I'll inform you.
Terry, do you have an understanding of the character of all of the apartments that are going up on the old Kmart site over on Murray and Canyon Road, TV Highway? What is that complex designed for?
Well,
It
did come.
They have a planning commission meeting on that or what?
They did, yeah. It's basically a very large apartment complex. It will have kind of a main street concept where the bottom floor of the units will be small commercial uses. I mean, that's about what I can say. I mean, it's a very large unit or very large complex, but it will fulfill a need in the city for housing for sure. And just as a matter of fact, we last night approved the complex. It's 270 units going in where the current satellite pub is and the community warehouse over there by Bimart
What, they're gonna
at
do
Fifth and
satellite?
Western.
Oh,
Pardon?
okay.
You mean on Watson?
No, it's at Fifth and Western, right across from Michael's and Kaiser by the Bimart there. The south end of that property is going to be converted to a apartment complex for 270 units.
Wow, that's too bad.
That's mostly vacant property, isn't it?
No, it's where there's a building there that
where
was
the
originally
The warehouse.
well, it was originally a Fred Meyer. And it's been converted to various uses. The latest is that satellite pub and the antique warehouse.
Well, 'cause-
So all those are going.
Please. You didn't let me finish, but the owner of that pub and the whole building was at our meeting
Yeah,
just a year or two ago. Kent, very nice man, King Dragonsholt. And I'm surprised to hear that he's sold out because he's still running ads for shows at his pub. And yeah, the whole building is that goofy building. I don't know if you guys have been in there, but it's all, what do you call it? Think of it. When
It's like an
everyone
old
says-
Quonset hut. It almost
What?
looks like an old Quonset hut.
Yeah, when everyone said, oh, flea market, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole rest of the building is just a big flea market. And everyone's got their own table, but the pub was really good. I mean, they did a good job and the bands they've had have been good. So it's being torn down and being made into apartments now? Ah, man.
But is Bimart gonna stay, Terry?
Yeah, and Bimart is not impacted by this. That's actually on a different piece of land.
Really? How about the fencing school and the billiard place?
That's all going. That's all part of the complex that's going to be torn down.
Wow. All right.
So anyway, I don't really have any BCCI news, so I'll inform you next time.
Okey dokey. Any other new business? Any other old business? 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we even have
Quorum.
No,
a quorum?
I don't think so.
I don't, yeah, I don't see Dieter around and I don't see Chris Swenson around. And I don't see Jerry Denton around. I need to get a hold of him because he's got one of our signs.
I'm here. Chris is here.
Oh, hello, Chris. Okay, that gives us a quorum. I vote we adjourn.
Second.
Okay,
All those in favor?
I,
Aye.
All righty. We'll see you guys on the 16th of December.
It'll be heated.
I was thinking about canceling it, but it's only, you know, it's over a week away from Christmas. You know? If it'd been closer, yeah, we'd be out. But no, I've got somebody lined up already and I'll see who else we can get.